Do 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 do. Dang, man. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Good Neighbors Show, where we are your hosts. I am the half, Drama Drizzy.
And I'm the other half, Mont.
Welcome. Knowing your worth. That is today's topic. How you feel about that today? Do you know your worth?
I'm still in the process of working on knowing my worth.
I've been in that process. I know my worth.
I know.
Do I know the full extent?
That's what I'm saying.
You know what that is? That's called continuous growth.
That's continuous growth.
So, that's where I want to start with. Knowing your worth. First, understanding that when you know your worth, it does not stop once you start realizing something about the value that you hold. It doesn't stop. You always will have to forever to continue to grow.
Can't stop.
Everybody has to grow. You cannot be complacent in this world.
Right.
For real. Can't stop, won't stop. But seriously, though, you can't be complacent in this world. So when you know your worth, it's one of those situations where it's a life hack. Knowing your worth is a life hack. That's my personal opinion. Because once you start knowing your worth, you start assembling your life a little bit better and start, navigating.
You start maneuvering a little bit different.
A little bit better.
Things that you were used to doing, you now do different because you know that when it comes to what you're actually meant to do, and it becomes more fulfilling to you as a person in a whole, and knowing that you don't have to be stuck in one area, that you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to expand, because you have so much potential within you. You just have to realize it. First key is you realizing it, because everybody else can tell you all day.
Self-awareness.
You can do this, you can do this, and you just go, okay. Once it takes that one spark for you to realize, not only I can do it, but I am worth so much more.
I am capable.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I am so much worth more than I'll be thinking that I am, basically.
Seriously, self-awareness is key when it comes to the importance of knowing your worth. Because just like you said, you start maneuvering different, you start thinking different, and you start carrying yourself a different way where the value that you understand you have, the risk assessment in life, your do's and your don'ts, what you shouldn't do, because why would you want to risk having all this high value within yourself and throw it away? And and that's like prison, wasted talent, a lot of different things. But it's an importance in understanding the value of knowing your worth. That's just me. And it starts with self-awareness. That's my personal take on that one.
You're right about that one. And another major key with that is overcoming challenges. You can go as far as you can, and you keep going. Juggernaut it. Straight through. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. But having something within you, that spark that I mentioned a little bit ago, basically, you can do it. You can do it.
You can, though.
You can. It's just that you have to realize small things. I'm not asking you to create a Fortune 500 company. I'm not telling you to go climb Mount Everest. It's the small things. You want to go work out? You ain't got time to go work out. Go walk. You want to go start a business? Start selling lemonade. Small things.
And sometimes it's easier said than done, right? And to follow up with what you're saying, when you start deciding to do those things, again, knowing your worth, one of the things that I say is skills and weaknesses. You know, learning your weaknesses and your strengths. That is a skill that you'll gain when you start knowing your worth, right? And when you start developing these strengths and these weaknesses, what that is you understand what you're good at and you understand what you're bad at. And don't get confused because you're bad at something. That just means that that's not your strong points. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that you have to throw it away or it's a bad thing. It's actually a skill that you still can actually work on and build. So which was a not a strong point can be a strong point in 30 days, right?
Yeah, right.
So when it comes to building these brands and wanting to decide to go to the gym and stuff like that, you have to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. You have to understand those things.
You have to.
So
You have to understand what you're capable of doing. You can't start off going through something that you ain't never tried before and then try to jump into it. Go with what you know.
I like that.
Go with what you know and what you can do.
Because a lot of people can't afford the gym, but where do most of us start at? In our bedrooms.
In our bedrooms.
Doing push-ups and sit-ups.
In a park.
You know,
outside.
And they got dope
activities.
parks too now.
Yeah, I see.
They got
that.
dope parks.
So, but like, yeah, it starts with what you're able to attain in the vicinity of your area. You can't make it to a gym, go walk outside. If it's a park around the corner that you always drive by, go head to the park. You know what I'm saying? And these are ways that you can use to utilize the things that you need to do to make yourself better. And with you making yourself better and learning these things, you have to understand that you are creating a newer version of you. And in creating this newer version of you, you want to start setting boundaries and finding some kind of balance. Because you need to understand that once you're becoming, some people see it as you changing or you're different, but they don't understand that butterfly growth that you're trying to come into for yourself. So you want to understand that old you isn't what you're trying to achieve. You might have some sparks and some little pieces or traces of that in you, but in becoming a new and a better version of you, it's going to seem weird to other people because that's not what they're used to from you. And just because they're not used to that from you doesn't mean that's who you are.
Setting boundaries. I want to speak on that one. I'm learning how to set boundaries now a lot more efficiently, right? I've moved in life with that persona of you don't like me, well, right?
So what?
And then for those who do like me, you know, I opened you up with, I brought you in with open arms, right? But I did not have proper boundaries because now that
it made you open.
it made me very, very vulnerable for many different things. You know what I mean? From family, friends, from borrowing money to cars to just you get taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying?
And you just think you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. Because if I have it, I want you to experience what
exactly.
I have. You might not have it, but I got it. But I want you to know what I have. In my mind, hopefully that triggers something in you to be like, yo, I'm about to go get my own. But some people don't see it as that. They see it as, I'm just going to keep using his stuff up until... And I know he's going to give it to me.
Now that I think about it, this is probably one of the most important things out of this whole discussion, especially when it comes to knowing your worth. Boundaries. Setting boundaries and having boundaries, I think this is probably one of the most important, because when you don't have boundaries, I'm telling you, you're going to get walked over. You're going to get walked on.
Would you say dog walk?
You're going to get dog walked. Seriously. So it's important to start learning how to have a boundary. You know, it is okay to say no. And I do say no. A lot of people probably think I don't say no. I do say no. I just may not say it enough, but I also did not create a boundary
For your limit.
for a limit. You know what I mean? Because if I created a boundary,
I know what I can ask you for and what I can't ask
exactly. And guess what? I won't have to worry about saying no. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
But if you open yourself up to everything, especially when it comes to your lifestyle,
Yep.
and your leisure, and
Yep.
how you moved, and how you went out that way, and you know what I'm saying? Yo, he always going out. He always, he always got something. He always looked fly or something. I know he got it.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm not going to see that you have a boundaries because you haven't set a boundary for yourself. So you set one for you to be a window open in the summertime, and it's a free for all for everybody.
And you start buying all these drinks at the club.
Cause
You start buying roses for women you don't even know. You start giving your man money to buy roses for women that none of you know. It's disgusting. And so then next thing you know, you start feeling like you're paying for a friendship. You're paying for people time. You're paying for people to be around you.
Because what's the percentage of the reciprocation being sent right back to you?
Deep.
What?
So,
because they know that you got it, and they know that you willing to give it out, and once again, you're thinking it is out of the kindness of your heart, and they don't see it as that. They just see, some people just see it as a leech version. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't have it, and those phone calls stop, and the communication stop, when the well runs dry, as my dad would say, it turns into, man, was it worth it? And then you start to realize, I should have set boundaries. I should have found a balance.
yep.
I should have set a goal to set up for myself to only be let in with certain things.
And by means, do not be upset when you start realizing that you did not have boundaries and start lashing out on other people.
Because they gonna think something wrong with you.
They're going to think something wrong with you. And it is something wrong with you. You just realized you did not have a boundary, and it's a shock. It's a big shock value. You know what I'm saying? So don't start running out here, start lashing out on people because you just realized that you did not set your own boundaries.
Right.
And got dog walked.
In a
nutshell. Which goes into the next topic. When it comes to knowing your worth, there's some self-love that has to be discovered within. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when you know your worth, that means you have some sort of internal ideology. Oh golly, that was a choke up. But you have some sort of idea of what you like about yourself, what you don't like about yourself. Mm-hmm. But you start accepting yourself a lot more once you start having that knowing of your worth.
Realizing that breath of fresh air that you receive, even when it's cold in the winter and you go outside and you get that deep breath inside. You know what I'm saying? And this all goes back to basically knowing your worth, knowing your self-worth at your job, knowing your self-worth and what you bring to the table, knowing your self-worth in a relationship. It's a 50-50 venture.